What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. We're back.
We're back.
It's been a minute.
You know, I was busy. So I was a little bit busy. My apologies, guys. That was on me. I told Cyrus, I was like, I don't have anything ready. My life is shipping boxes right now. I just don't think I can do it this week. Or I didn't. I think I said Tuesday, and then he was like, "You're like, do you have anyone lined up?" And I was like, "At this moment in time, no." And he was like, "Let's just call it, man. You need it." And I was like, "Sounds good."
Yeah, I mean, you were like Tuesday, and I was like, why don't we just do both? I know you've got a ton going on. It's gonna be stressful. And I was like, whenever you plan stuff out like that, there's always something that throws a wrench in it that makes it take longer, and then it's just way
Something
more stressful.
happens, an extra day. Sometimes you need an extra day. Do you make a sweet fort out of the boxes? I didn't. I was afraid that I would mess the tape up.
Ooh.
My biggest fear. We'll go over this in a minute, but whatever. We'll talk about that in a few. We'll have a group buy. My experience. I've shipped all of the boards that I am not doing anything in particular with. Osiris and I are building 2 boards for different people, and then some boards are getting Cerakoted. So, but as you know, in contact with them, but everything else was shipped out the door today. So I am at this point, I'm kind of done with the group buy part.
You've washed your hands of the Squid 60.
I've washed my hands at this point. I keep posting the pictures. I love looking at the pictures.
Dude,
I love seeing
cool.
the combinations have been cool. So
I'm excited to see the combinations that people do. I'm excited to hear different builds of it because I'm sure some people will build it, some people will stream it, yeah, it's really cool to see something like that because we saw it a little bit with the Baka, but obviously 20 people versus what is it, like 70 something?
Yeah, 70. It'll after extras are all done. It should be around close to 90. So, granted, one of those is going to be mine.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like owning the exact same board, right? Exo Squid, what's up, man? Quick shout out to our awesome sponsors and partners, OmniType. We haven't adjusted that on the website, but we have not received the 100% full-on go from OmniType, formerly Dixie Mech, but OmniType project keyboards and Canon keys, as well as App cables, Type Beast and Smithrune as our awesome partners. We will hear more from them later. Let's start out with I've got mail, and we both got mail.
We do.
We both. So I'll start. Last week, so kind of missed. So the week before last, and kind of while I was working on shipping and stuff, I used the Baka for quite the long time, and then I used the bumper. This thing's amazing. It sounds great. I can't wait to show you, Osiris. It's kind of in blueberries, 89 grams. I was like, oh, this is I can get behind this. This week, switch to the crown. My Squid is going to have camping on it, so this is until Modern Dolch Light shows up. This is going to be out of commission for a little bit. Come on. By Mr. Blind Assassin. Fantastic little TKL. Oh my god, it's also super heavy. And 98 gram creams because everything is heavy about this board.
Also, Exo Squid, thank you for the tier 2 for 9 months. We had a tier 2 baby. Does that mean it's a bigger baby? Is that like
it was like it popped out like Andre the Giant, man.
Dude, let's go. Twins. There you go. Twins, Streaking Bison.
Twins. So, and then mail. Yes. So, first off, we'll talk about the bags when you get. So we each got a project keyboard desk mat. This is from the Sumi line. Cherry Blossom. It's white, so this is probably going to be allocated to a pictures only desk mat. because it's really pretty. I love the kind of messy paint style to it. It kind of adds to that. It adds to that nice aesthetic. Really, really cool. And we'll talk about the bags here in a sec. And then lavender linears. So these are awesome. I pulled them out and played with them for a little bit. I put, of course, I put 98 gram springs in it. Lubed them up a little bit. They sound. That's a nylon housing, and they sound really good. And within 5 minutes, I literally said, "Well, I'm going to take apart my OSA with alpacas and swap them out with these because." I don't have anything against alpacas, but it was always like it's a solid switch. I don't really have an alpaca or a JWK board, and it's the board I use at work all the time. Sounds fine. It's not too loud. These I think sound a little bit better. Smoothness, I'd say it's on the same. Like it's not anything crazy. Stock springs are not for me, but spring swapped. So there it is. And then I've got some of these for you as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is that your?
That is keyboard related mail day. I've been more of an outgoing mail guy this week. Those are Exo Squid. Those were the lavender linear switches.
Yeah, lavender linear. It's a new JWK switch. Moving on over to me. I've got some mail, but first up, I'll show the keyboard I'm using. Just switched it out today. I am back on the Bauer GMK dual shot. I think it just looks super clean. It's not like insanely bright colors. Not very. It's kind of monochromatic kind of, except for the modifiers there. But I love this board, man. Built with
sounds really good.
Why am I almost said lilac linears, but it's not. It's mauves. Lubed and foam mauves.
Impressive that you built a board with switches that had not yet existed for like 7 months.
True. It's got the mauves in there on a palm plate. I'm a big fan of palm, especially with linear boards. I kind of, especially at home, I've been floating a lot between this board and my my Sirius, which is the Nolive creams, also palm. So I love the palm with the linear combo. It's nice. It's deep. Sounds good. Feels good. As far as mail, very similar to Chewy. Actually, the exact same type of mail, but just different products.
Tweaks, right?
Just small tweaks. Also got a Sumi mat from Project Keyboard. Mine is not cherry blossom. I got myself the bonsai tree. It's upside down. The bonsai. I think this looks great. I think it looks super awesome.
Very clean. Very clean. King Friday the 7th asks, how's the Sirius board holding up material-wise?
Perfectly fine. I haven't had any issues with it. It flew to California with me. Had no issues with it. I've thrown it in a backpack and, taken it back and forth from work a couple times and haven't had any issues with it. It's great. Are people having issues with that with the materials? I know Mr. Petrov took his around the world. There was a famous picture at the time of a monkey holding it. So yeah.
I don't imagine. I mean, it doesn't stand. It wouldn't stand getting beat up in a backpack as much as maybe a metal board. But I can't. It would still take a lot. I mean, the thing's dense. Like it's not like a cheap plastic keyboard that would crack. It would. The amount of pressure or the amount of damage you would have to do to like crack it or screw it up would be enough that it would dent a metal board too. So.
Yeah. And I have the one that has a weight in it too, so it's not like any added weight to it is going to damage it at all. But before we talk about the bags for those desk mats, got unexpected mail day. These, so Chewy and I had been talking about ordering some of these for months now. We finally did it. We're not expecting these until between the middle of February into early March, but they came today. And these are JWK Moyu Blacks. They have referred to as the, I think, dark
Jade,
dark jade.
Everglide, dark jades.
Yeah. It's their kind of Holy Panda style. I like these switches. I tried them out when I built the Kepler Mini months ago, and I really enjoyed them. And I'm excited to try these out.
Yeah, I'm super pumped. What stinks is it's going to be a minute before I build with those.
True.
Yeah, so I might just have to like steal a board from you whenever you're not using it. Whenever you build something with that. Tab is not Tabot. We actually you can get them on is KP Republic.
KP Republic or
KP
Amazon
Republic,
through
but
KP.
you can get them from Amazon through it, which is what we did because I saw that they were on drop. This is nothing against drop, but the pricing was actually not as beneficial on drop. It was like, I mean, we're talking dollars, right? So if you're someone that maybe has like a $10 credit on drop, it's going to wind up being better on drop. But we were like kind of comparing some prices and literally found it on Amazon. I remember sending Osiris a couple links and I was like, bro, you can get these on Amazon. It's kind of crazy what you can get on Amazon now.
Well, a lot of it is through, because I guess, so KP Republic is now on Amazon, which means in turn that all of the products that they offer for mechanical keyboards are available on Amazon. I've also noticed that certain products like these, the IC pullers, which you used to like have to search IC puller for, you can now search for like mechanical keyboard and they come up. So the people who do the marketing and the people who
infiltrating.
Yeah, they're understanding the market share that they could be capitalizing on by marketing to mechanical keyboard.
Yeah, by just a name. You could probably put up both. You could put up the exact same product with two different names and just have two different products, even though you're pulling from the exact same. And one's going to find one, and the other's going to find the other. So, yeah, I mean, IC pullers, when it's the same thing, IC pullers are definitely a lot cheaper. I'm not a fan of some of the ones that have been made specifically for keyboards. I don't think they are as enforced as they could be, but the IC pullers that I've used, I'm on my second. The first one broke within like 2 months. I just got a faulty one. I've been on my second for almost 2 years now and have had no issues.
I will be interested to see with what Gnarly Charlie for you said. As people put like custom mechanical keyboards or like market to our genre or to our hobby, I'll be interested to see if they mark the price up, like he's saying about like the IC puller and the switch puller. Like if you got two product posts, they're the exact same product, like the same SKU, but one's marketed towards custom mechanical keyboards. Maybe is it a little bit more just because of that?
Just get that word tax in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how many things you can get that are not marketed towards keyboards, right? That you wind up using all the time, like tools, soldering irons, all that stuff. Soon enough, we'll see keyboard soldering iron, like specific. And it's like, why is this specifically this? But as the hobby gets Canaver, exactly. As the hobby gets bigger and bigger, there are going to be more companies that start realizing, hey, we can make a few bucks if we just steer some of us. Just not even that. It doesn't even take that much time, right? You just go, hey, IC puller. A lot of people are buying them for mechanical keyboards. Let's call it a mechanical keyboard switch puller, and that rename could make their and then charge an extra 50 cents or $1, and then boom, now that guy's sitting there loaded off his loaded with cash now because he did 5 minutes of research.
Also, Gnarly Charlie for you. Thank you for the tier 1 for 6 months. Appreciate that, my dude.
I need to get like an actual, like not an actual air horn. Like I need to get like an air horn, the Mechs horn. And just,
oh yeah, like a custom one.
Yeah, like a little custom one. So, but yeah, let's get into some. We got a lot of topics tonight. We're going to be talking about VIA. We're going to be talking about Keycap. We're going to be talking about a little bit more on the squid, and I think that's the three. We have our keyboard of the week announcements where we talked about it before stream. It's like 90% done. It'll be next week whenever we finish everything. So should be a fun night. But we'll start with the giveaway. So if you guys notice, there is an exclamation point giveaway. It is not for tonight. It is not for any specific time. I think I'm going to do 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know yet. A very generous donator who will remain nameless bought a Squid 60 and informed me, I don't want it. I want you to give it away. And I said, absolutely. Like, you're so generous donator. Like, how could you be so generous? And as it got close, he did this right after we put the order in, and as the board got closer, it was, well, let's discuss what we want to give away, right? Boards are great, but let's make it an experience, right? So what we are doing is I'm going to be building this board exactly how my Baka is built, exactly how my squid will be built. I have left on that form, I have left the options of backspace and caps lock. So when I do build it, because we're not giving this away like a normal giveaway where I build it and then at the end of the stream, we give it away at the end. What I want and what this was meant to go towards is someone who maybe can't afford it. Maybe someone who at the time couldn't get in on the buy, who maybe can't get on the extras that will be soon. I'll have final details will be announced either tomorrow or next week. I just have to finalize everything else, but it's meant to go to someone that maybe whenever a lot of us start in this hobby, maybe we don't have super duper nice jobs, and maybe a tofu is the best we can afford. Nothing wrong with a tofu, but you've always wanted to take that next step, or maybe you've just got your head in, you've just kind of dipped your toes into the water, right? And you're wanting to get to that next step. And this sounds like a brag with the Squid 60 being the next step, but I will say I think it's a step up from a lot of the entry level boards. And not only does this come as a board, you don't have to build it. I'm going to build it for you. I'm going to build it with Holy Pandas. I'm going to build it exactly how I feel like I would want this board for me. Not only is it going to come built, it's coming with caps. It's coming with a GMK keycap set. So this board, I mean, this is something you open it up. I haven't confirmed this. I'm not going to, but we are sponsored. We are partnered with someone who maybe makes cables. Maybe we get a cable thrown in there, right? Maybe we have something I want someone to open this up and go, I don't have to deal anything. I've got this cool custom keyboard that I don't even have to worry about.
Dude, it's like a pre-built, but like the best pre-built you could ever get.
So, who is this not for? First and foremost, it's not for me. It's not for Osiris. None of our mods can get it. Anyone that's pretty close with me, unable to get it. I'm not giving this away to a friend in this big disguise. I've told everyone that I'm close with. Sorry, no. You've had options. A lot of people I'm close with have a Baka. So
true.
It's not like that. It would be preferable if you watched our channel. That would be nice but it's going to go to someone that I'm picking the person. It's not a random thing. That's why on there's a kind of a paragraph. Tell me about you. Tell me about your keyboard story. How did you get into keyboards? What do you have right now? Because we don't want this being flipped. The donator and I talked about how can we prevent this from being flipped, and we decided, hey, let's have conversations, or let's have these forms that are filled out so that whenever we decide on one, we think we can do our best to get it into the right hands. We've done this before on our last 24-hour stream, and it went to someone's friend who had been wanting to get into the hobby but had a job that just they weren't able to spend an extra couple $100 on keyboards. Give it to me and I'll eat it with soy sauce. Kimchi Jody boy, I think you just got excluded from this giveaway.
Although I would enjoy seeing that.
I mean, I'll send you my Squid 60 to try and eat. But yeah, share it with people. I'm not going to share it anywhere else other than our Discord and on the stream. It will probably be next week. I'm going to talk to the person if they want me to announce who it goes to. That's fine. But I'm going to talk to the person that I inevitably choose. And then I'm going to build that board on stream for that person. And it might be secret. It might not be. It just depends on that person. So,
yeah. It's more of like a contest in a sense of like there is some stipulations to it, and there will be a winner of it because it's going to go to someone who, like you say in the forum, you want it to go to someone who will cherish the board, not to someone who's just going to, use it for a couple weeks and then just sell it.
yeah.
But yeah, so.
And there's going to be 5 people that have a say in who gets this board. Myself, Osiris, my wife, the donor, and Langlandia. So we're all going to get together, pick a couple, and whoever lines up the most will most likely be decided. And so it's 5 people. So it's not just me. It's not going to go to someone that, I know that person. I like that person. I've talked to that person. I want this, like I said, I want this to go to someone who will appreciate it for what it is.
When is the 24-hour stream? I don't know if we'll. I don't know.
I don't know, dude. Those are tough. Those are tough streams.
Yeah.
If we do something like that, I've always wanted to do where we do like a tag off stream.
Yeah, like
how Kimchi and Didi did,
mm-hmm.
or we do like a 12-hour like tag in tag out. That would be fun to do, but we haven't even discussed it. We haven't, with the way both of our work lives have been going. Not that it's horrible, it's just been busy, right?
The opportune time to do one would have been during the midst of the quarantine and the pandemic, which we did at the very beginning. But like, it's also like we didn't really want to do it apart. Like, if we're gonna do a 24-hour stream together, we think we have a cool, unique aspect to our channel of the fact that we can do things together because we don't live that far from each other, and so yeah.
Hellbent TV, there was another board. It was like a 5-degree build. That it was kind of, I had this old board, an old keycap set, and some switches that Osiris had, and a PCB that a friend of ours had, and it was kind of like, hey, we have all these Commander Bear, what's up? We have all these pieces that are literally just sitting here. Let's put this together and send it off to somebody. And as far as I know, they still use it. If not, then whatever. But I know it went to someone that wasn't even really in the hobby, but had shown an interest in mechanical keyboards before. So
yeah, it was a really cool situation. Went to like someone whose friend had been interested, didn't have the opportunity to, or wasn't like able to follow keyboards the way that we are. A lot of people are super busy with work. They don't have time to keep up with the bajillion interest checks and the very small time windows of group buys, and they were able to get that board for free, and hopefully they're enjoying it and still enjoying it. But yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm excited to see who it goes to. I'm excited to see the different entries and see, what everyone says. Should be good.
Should be fun. Next up on tonight, so yeah, the Squid 60s have all been shipped. I did international shipping over the weekend. I knew I wanted to wait until after yesterday. For those who are international, yesterday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. and that is a male holiday, except for some people got their Squid 60s delivered yesterday, which I didn't think was a thing, but hey, what do I know? But I wanted to make sure. I was kind of like, I was going to do some orders based on where they are in the world at some time, and then some orders another, and then I just kind of was like, you know what, I'll reach out to him and see if I can knock it out. Thank you to all of the international orders. You guys all paid. I didn't charge shipping. We can talk about we can either talk about it tonight, or we can actually move it back 1 week if you'd like, to go in depth on how my experience with the group buy was.
Let's actually wait until
Yeah.
the international people get it. So it's like,
Oh, that could be.
well, like,
Yeah.
well, it's because they haven't all been delivered even in the US, right?
Well, the last one was delivered today.
Oh, okay. Well,
So-
yeah. I mean, we can either do it right now, or we can do it. I mean, I'm down.
What do you guys want us to go into some other spicy topics, or if you have questions about how my experience in the Squid 60 group buy was? Got one yes. Oh, spicy. You want spicy?
Yeah, I feel like let's get
Spicy. Other topics. Yeah, we'll go next. We'll hold off on that on next week.
Mhm.
Let's talk about something that's not as spicy quite yet. You gotta lead into it. You don't want your appetizer to burn your taste buds. We out of the dab of topics. You want the dab of top? We'll get there. So, Creative. If you guys don't know who Creative is, they are in charge of making cat sets, I believe, as well as cam sets. But cat obviously is the big one here. Cat. Creative said they're not taking cat orders.
Yeah, this is an interesting statement. I've got it up on the screen, and I'll put a link in chat.
Will do, yeah.
Thanks for the tier 1 for 6 months, Streaking Bison. Appreciate that. But yeah, no, this is interesting. So Creative has basically come out and said that they have had issues over the last couple months with basically since November, so like 3 months, saying that they've been having a super high defect rate with the caps from their third party manufacturer for their not injection molded, their die sub caps. And so they've paused production on them and have gone to making their own machines, which the what I'm showing now on screen, as well as what I linked, is talking about. It's a post talking about the new machines that they made, their new process for how they're doing the die sub, and the current updates on other sets that are already set to be in production.
I mean, if you can't do it right, you got to do it yourself. Sometimes you just got to sit there and go, hey, why are you trusting to put your product on someone else's shoulders, right? If you want it done right, do it yourself. And I think that speaks volumes. We didn't call this specifically, but we knew with this many cat sets and not that many delivered that there was going to be potentially problems. How many cat sets have delivered? 3?
I think so.
Milkshake, riddled with problems.
Eternal,
Alpha, and Eternal.
Yeah,
and Alpha was a long time ago, and Eternal just recently shipped. I haven't seen too much on it. So it's kind of one of those. It's kind of one of those things where it's kind of like they've got a lot, right? They're backed up. I mean, the second we started sending out cat sets, we started every month. It was a new cat set, or maybe 2 new cat sets being ordered, and it got to be a lot. And they weren't. And it's like we kept taking all these orders, and we're like, but we're not seeing anything coming back. And I know that a lot of times this hobby, it takes time. But the first thing that came back took a long time, and it was not in great shape.
Yeah, and this whole issue, this whole post about what is happening here is because of all that. They were sending, basically, it's weird, right? Like GMK is a specific manufacturer, right? GMK is the maker of the cap. you know, Signature Plastics is the maker of the cap for, like, they are in-house for SA, anything that they make, DSA, SA, I think they do DCS as well. But they are the makers of the cap. Key Creative was outsourcing the actual production. Basically, it was like a shell corporation where it's like, oh yeah, you pay for us, and then we get it done somewhere else, and then they send it to us. We do. They probably did packaging and whatnot and
Packaging,
sorting.
sorting, all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Um. Well, now because of the issues, the continual issues that they have ran. Okay, so 21 cat and cam sets. Thank you, Brez. Since Eternal. So there's 21 sets that are currently in the midst of somewhere in production that are being infected by this. But while this is a bad thing that it's paused right now, it's a good thing because they went back to the drawing board. They did what we have been calling for people like Infinity to do. Take a pause, go back to the drawing board, fix your problems, and then pick it back up. Right? Yeah. They've created their own machines from the ground up. They have pictures of them. They have pictures of them on. I just want to point out that only in China would you have a machine that when it starts up, it has what looks like a Gundam or something as the startup screen. The Real Lippy, thank you for the Prime Gaming sub for 2 months. Appreciate that, my dude. But yeah, they have in this post, they have pictures of the new Air die sub process that they're talking about. But yeah, I think it's great that they are doing this, that they've got 4 machines going. The one thing that is scary is that because it is new, it's like, what other issues are going to arise?
Yeah. How are you going to figure out? It's like they need to do a tester set again. It's like run cat returnal and like a little bit more and see, and they could have, right? They could have kept a few cat eternal, made a couple extra cat eternal sets, kept them and go, let's make cat eternal now on this set and see how close we can get it. I think it's great. I think it's great. We've been, it takes a lot for a company to go, we are screwing up. We need time to fix it, because they're going to just keep getting backtracked when you have sets like Cat Milkshake that just a lot of people were not happy with. You're just going to get yourself more and more backed up. It's just going to keep screwing things up. So unfortunately, if you paid for it, all this means is that it's just going to take a lot longer. But this probably means, hopefully, fingers crossed, this probably means better products down the line.
Right. Well, you're eliminating timeline because you don't have to deal with, okay, we got the order from vendor. Now we got to submit it to our third party who's manufacturing, and then they have to make it and ship it to us. They now can just say, okay, yeah, here's the order. Then they just get their plastic and then they go, right? Like there's less time between the processes of everything. And hopefully, well, maybe this is obviously we have to see, but it may also mean a lower price point, because you would assume that with this doing it in-house versus outsource, the overall cost is going to be a little bit lower. They might not reflect that to us as consumers, but they might. So another piece, and the second part of this, which is very interesting, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be really excited about, is that they have announced that they have been working on cat double shot molds, which is really cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, double shot, we haven't seen a whole lot with DSA getting like ruined or anything, but cat double shot, if they can get the molds right, then this opens up the door for a lot of, I mean, if it's a mold, then it's going to be a little bit more consistent. It's putting it into a mold. Getting molds correct and perfect is a challenging task. It'd be interesting to see if what they do is doing a double shot of like all your base keys And then just to avoid extra costs, if you want to do novelties, then you can do or not, you can do die sub novelties, thus reducing the cost of doing novelties. Because that's something, if you don't know GMK, they have to make a new mold for every novelty, and that's how things get expensive. They have to make, you have to make, if you want to do a different type of sub legend, those all have to be made. Those molds have to be made. And sub legend, that's a lot of money. If someone has 3 or 4 novelties, the money it's going to cost a little bit, but it's not going to, you're typically not going to see it reflected too crazily in the group buy. Whereas, something like that, we could even see something along the lines of kind of what Redacted did, right? You can do die sub and double shot, which really blows the door open for a lot of cool things to happen. It stinks because I don't really like Cat as a profile. That's more of a feel. That's nothing against Creative. I just tried Cat for a day and hated every second of it. I don't know why. It was just not a fan. So I guess my wallet's happier with me, but them doing stuff like this is the first time in a while that I've seen it, where I've seen a company that's like, we're going to try some cool shit. I'm like, hell yeah, let's get on board. Let's show me what you got.
Yeah, and what's really cool too is at the end of this post, they say something that I think is awesome. As a company, I think this is a great way to respond to hey, we've had issues and this is our solutions, and we're going to do something that's going to make sure that we don't have these issues again. And they're taking a step beyond that, and they say that they're going to be taking factors into consideration to decide to upgrade some group buy key sets that have already ran to double shot PBT without extra charge to the vendors and designers. Then those factors are overall manufacturing process of the die subbing for their new process, key designs, so novelties, things like that. Obviously, novelties, if you have a ton of novelties in your set, you're probably not going to get double shot PBT straight up right now. Buyer's opinions, designer and vendor's opinion. So it's nice. This is still at a very early stage with these molds. The thing about doing double shot is the get in process of double shot is much more expensive. Molds are expensive. It's a long process from going from nothing to finished keycaps. Because there's a lot more steps, whereas die sub, if you just have the machine, or there's a lot of companies that will do that. They had issues with those companies, but there's a lot of companies that'll do that process for you. It's cheaper, it's easier to do. But once you have those molds, you can pump out the keycaps way faster.
Yeah, and mind you, they're doing all this. They still have to get 21 orders out. So I'm not expecting anything double shot. And if they do, it might be like another Cat Alpha double shot, or Cat, where it's something like they're like, hey, we made like 100 of these, here, try them out. It's not going to be anything. I don't expect double shot to be a thing for a long time on the Cat end, because having to do that and getting all these sets done is going to be a task. But the communication, superb. It's perfect. It's straightforward. It's direct. It's admitting you have a mistake and talking about how, not only that you're going to fix it, but how you're going to fix it, and moving forward, what to expect. And I think that's great. I think that Creative just, I wish I could support them by buying a Cat set, but I don't like cats. So,
right.
But, well, I want to support this a lot.
Right. Well, and I also very much appreciate that they've said that they are going to, they're postponing the taking new group buys until they figure everything out, which is great. And that's one of those things, as a company that is designed to make money, right? That is how you be a successful company. You make this huge investment in these machines and these new molds, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, we've got to not take in any more revenue until we figure this all out.
Yeah.
And deliver these products that we have taken POs on, which I think is awesome. So it's good to see that they're like Kimchi just said, that they're putting out statements and they're responding to the community. They're understanding the issues and they're fixing them. It's not just like PR bullshit, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And another company that did this, I don't have the link exactly, but GMK kind of did this similarly, where they basically talked about, hey, we've got these new machines going, we're training people, but we're going to have to slow down before we get back up to speed. But when we get back up to speed, it's going to be like 7 times faster. I think that's what they said. They ordered more machines. They've got, obviously right now, Germany. That's, if you didn't know, GMK is from Germany. Germany, another lockdown, lots of more restrictions in terms of pandemic. But it's a lot. Don't quote me on the 7 times, but I remember reading that it was a significant jump to where they're like, we're trying to get faster than what our production time was before it got slowed down, because it used to be 16 weeks and then it got moved up to like 20 and then I think even 24. And then they were saying we want to go back and we want to do better than what we were doing, and they kind of have to, right? Like, because I don't think it would ruin the hobby if GMK was like, the month of July we're not taking orders. It might slow down some monthly revenue. I don't think it would ruin any companies. I think it might just hurt some companies, but I don't think it would cause any particular company to go under. But I like that GMK is going, hey, we know what our problem is. We're trying to fix it. Everything's in plan to fix it. And hopefully on top of quality control issues, because we've obviously had some quality control issues with GMK. I like that they're going, hey, we're doing it. It's communication's key in everything in this hobby. Whether it's vendors, whether it's manufacturers, whether it's group buy runners, whether it's anyone, communication is key. And I like that we're seeing this. I'm hoping that other manufacturers and vendors and all that see this and say, hey, this is how it's done.
Yeah.
This Creative, that we need to make a good example of Creative and say, this is how you communicate with a hobby that's giving you a lot of money.
Yeah. Now, granted, they do have to like deliver on these words, but but we do appreciate the openness and the not like necessarily sugarcoating it, just saying this is what's happening. This is what we are doing to fix it. This is the measures we're taking. We understand y'all are upset. We're upset because now we can't get money and we can't take new orders because we have to, put out what we've already taken orders on. So yeah, it's really nice. Also, I feel like can we go ahead and say, if we're gonna do a month without GMK group buys, November is a solid.
Let's talk about November.
Yeah, solid month GMK. If you want to just not do group buys for keycaps, you just want a month off. November, fantastic month. They never seem to pan out as well as literally any other month of the year. So yeah, November might not.
November. Because then you can go crazy in December.
Yeah.
I think, what's funny to me is it's like we shouldn't have November and then December just be round X.
Just all the reruns.
What's the most, and what's the best keycap set, or what's something like the Olivias and the modern Dolces and the Oblivions and any of these sets that sold incredibly well. And that have obviously that have around, so there's no color matching issues, and then just go all out, and we're thousands and thousands of sets. It probably do well. I'm just saying.
Ironically, November was my most expensive month. That's funny.
It'd be like that sometimes.
It does be like that sometimes. But enough about keycaps. We got some other.
Let's get to the
topics.
Technical sides of things.
Horn.
Frisco Mount, thank you for the 1 year. Appreciate it, my dude.
12 months, dude. Heck yeah. So, VIA. If you guys don't know what VIA is, in short, VIA is a facelift on QMK. QMK is what makes this hobby go round. QMK is how PCBs work and talk to your computer. I want to start this conversation out by saying everything we're talking about and about to talk about is better than Jagon. Everything we're about
Jagon
to talk
is
about.
like Jagon is like oh man, I was gonna say it's like green screen as a POS system, but it's worse than green screen.
Green screen's usable and understandable after a little bit.
Jagon is,
for those who don't know,
worst.
Jagon is it's a similar application to QMK, but I can't even explain how it's worse. It just is worse. It's infinitely harder to map your keys. You have to use this very confusing software that doesn't tell you a lot of information. It's just tough. But QMK makes this hobby tick. It's literally the heartbeat of this hobby is QMK, because we wouldn't be able to use most of it on a consumer level. Your QMK and especially VIA has made this way more friendly. VIA has taken something where QMK used to be, even in its, even now, it's still a little confusing, and you kind of have to know what buttons to press. And it's for people who just want to open something up and go, I just want to build this, especially like a hot swap. Like we'll talk about the hot swap builder throughout a lot of this, who just want things to work. And VIA's that thing, right? VIA's that thing where you go, cool, I've got this. I used my hot swap. I open up VIA and it works, and it works on the fly, and it looks pretty. And this reminds me of Razer and Cooler Master and Corsair, where here's the program. I know it. It has that familiar feel to it. And people are trying to murder it.
Dude, yeah. Hooligan 605, thank you for the Prime sub. Appreciate it. 4 months. Thank you. So, but there was a post on the GitHub for VIA saying that, is VIA dead? Asking if it was dead, or if the people who run it were just taking a break, saying that there's 99 pull requests and the last commit was in mid-November, which is obviously a few months ago. Granted, there has been some significant holidays between then and now. And they're saying some statement about this would be helpful, as designers are waiting for their boards to be compatible for many months at this point. I think it's important, before we really talk about this, to understand the history of VIA as a program. VIA is not an open source platform. It did not have the intention of being an open source platform from the beginning. VIA was paid for by Rama and with Wilba in partnership for the Rama boards, the Rama M60, and Wilba's subsequent PCBs. That was the initial build. It was not going to work.
If you used what Rama had previously, I had to use it on the M6, the little macro pad. Not a fan. Don't know who made it. Not, if I'm throwing shade, sorry. Was not a huge fan of it. It was confusing. It was awkward. The flashing was annoying. It needed that update. And what has Rama done? Rama has always trying to been the out of the box working. It's trying to been Rama's always kind of been the Apple of mechanical keyboards. It's just supposed to work. A lot of it's hot swap. It's supposed to be pretty looking. We don't want, they've got nice boxes. They've got nice videos that people try and steal all the time for promotional stuff. Rama they deliver a quality product, and they do a fantastic job promoting it, and they want every step of that process. Rama wants to be in control of. There's absolutely, I encourage that, right? Because why not? Why just stop at the keyboard? Why not put it on into the computer? Let the user experience be even better. So yeah, they said, well, let's change something about it. So Wilba, who's in chat, hello, and Olivia, who creator of GMK Olivia, GMK Olive, which, if for those who don't know, that's why it's called Via, Olivia. Little history discussion for you. Via is there for so they helped put this I keep wanting to call it a process, but it's not a process. But put this this origin of Via. Hey Olivia, please make me something about the QMK. Yeah, I mean it's there so that it can take certain people, these PCBs, and make it more user friendly, and they achieve that. And then, okay, now a couple people have gotten that taste, right? A couple people are like, oh shit, I want this. And I will say, there was a time when I had a few boards that were in Via and a few boards that weren't, and I was like, fuck, this board's not in Via. I still am in my Singa. I'm still like, God damn it, I have to have to go into QMK and do all this shit that I haven't done in a year because Via's made things easier. And there was that time where some were and some weren't, and Via was still in its early stages, and it was still working out some of the kinks. But the best part about Via was on-the-fly flashing. And I'll let you describe that.
Yeah, well, I mean, on-the-fly flashing just means you change something, it happens instantly. You don't have to hit a reset button. You don't have to map a reset button on your board for it to happen. It just happens automatically. And I think Via itself got popular because of that, because it's just easier to use out of the box than QMK. There's not a huge learning curve. I know, Wilba.
How dare you celebrate the holidays?
And that's what I pointed out, is there were some significant holidays between November and now. But I think there's a mindset that maybe is put out with some of the posts that were put in there that I wanted to talk about. But with Via, I think it got super popular because the big boards that people looked up to, people looked into getting, supported Via because they were Wilba PCBs. You look at Keycap, uses Wilba PCBs. The WT60D and the WT60 just in general.
Sitting in that.
That was in a lot of boards. People really, really liked it. And people used it. It was used by a ton of different things. You can go buy it on Novel Keys. It supports Via out of the box. There really isn't. Now there is, but I mean, until recently, there wasn't a ton of PCBs that were not either big vendors like Canon Keys or just Wilba PCBs in general that were supported in Via. Like, I mean, hell, my iron, when I got it, wasn't like, it didn't straight up just open up into Via. I had to do some stuff to get it to work. Like, and that's one of the most popular boards. The Satisfaction 75 initially wasn't ported into Via when it first released. Like, it's not a catch-all. It's not for everything. It's not it shouldn't be an expectation for the community because it's not, that's not what it is.
Yeah, so let's put a little salt on the wound, right? All right. So a lot of people have stated that Via should just be available to everybody. Well, first and foremost, it kind of can be. If you do the work, they've put out the ability to do it yourself. A lot of people, a lot of consumers don't want to do the work. They just want other people to do the work, and they want them to do that work for free. That's a whole nother thing. But a lot of people said, well, it's not fair that they have all the power. Well, let's wind back. We gave them all the power. What did Wilba do? Wilba, I'm just let's play both sides. All right. Wilba made a great PCB. Then he made a couple more great PCBs. Wilba made so many good PCBs. Like let's you can go all the way back. Zeal 60. Zeal 60 is a great PCB. Great piece. I use it in my Baka. Made a great PCB, and he made a name for himself, just like anybody could have done. And then people like Keycap and people like Garrett from Omnitype and other more and more people started going, hey, I want that guy's PCB because that guy knows how to make good PCBs. It's not you're not going to Wilba going, I want this PCB because people will buy it because it's Wilba. You're going to Wilba, or at least you shouldn't. You're going to Wilba because he makes a good PCB, and what you want to put out into the world, they're going, well, I'm not going to be able to make something as good as that.
Yeah.
And so why do all these super high-end boards use Wilba PCBs? Because he makes good PCBs. It's not some crazy equation. He just does a good job. Does he have the right to block VIA from being used on certain things? Absolutely. Should he? That's up for discussion. I think he can. I think he absolutely can. Here's what you can't fucking do. You can't tell people it's going to be in VIA without talking to them.
Yeah, like get through the ability to put it in VIA before you announce that it's going to be in VIA. And like there shouldn't be a expectation that if you have something that you want added to VIA, whether it's a keyboard or a feature, that should happen. Or if you even know how to program it, that you should be able to go in and do it. Again, it's not an open source thing. It is something that they are they do when they can, right? Like Wilba, Olivia has a very high up job. She's a very fantastic coder, and she works with a very large company. Is very busy. She has a lot going on, and like people realize how reliant the community has become on a closed source software. Well, that's because it's good, right? The reason VIA exists, just like anything, just like Chewy was talking about how Wilba makes fantastic PCBs. Anyone else could have made VIA. Anyone else could make fantastic PCBs. They just have to do it.
Yeah.
You can very easily make a program of VIA. Not easily. You could very well make.
Very easy.
Yeah. You could make a front end program for QMK similar to VIA on your own if you wanted to. And you can make it open source if you want to and have people go to it. And maybe it gets bigger. And that's those alternatives that people are talking about, like Vile and stuff. But I think the expectation of, oh, I'm making this board, it should be in here immediately. I shouldn't have to wait. It's like, come on, dude. These people have lives just like you do.
Here's how you big brain it. Make a board with a PCB that's already in VIA.
Yeah.
That's how you get them. So here's the controversial statement. I am mad that VIA is not open to everyone. Time. You had us in the first half there. I am not mad at Wilba or Olivia for it not being open to everyone. I am mad at the community for relying too much on one thing.
It is open for everyone, though.
It's open for everyone, but what I'm trying to say is I'm mad that the community they stopped, right? And we're waiting for other people. Everything needs competition. Everything needs competition. You want to see VIA be great? Watch something do just as good as VIA. And I bet they'll probably go, okay, well, now that we've seen what you can do, let's try and do better. Let's look at computers. A lot of us know about computers. It's the Intel Ryzen wars. Things don't get better until there's healthy competition. Things will always get a little bit better, but maybe it doesn't need to. But I think, like we've said, if you're upset about it, do something about it. Yeah. Until then, this is all based on open source software. This closed source software is based on open source software. VIA does not control QMK, neither the other way around. But you can take QMK and make something awesome. And if you want to make something awesome, and then you have a big team of people that are porting it into whatever KMQ, we can call it just the opposite of QMK. That's great. That's awesome. And honestly, it's kind of when competition like that happens, the consumers thrive because I guarantee they're not VIA's not making, they're not just racking in thousands and thousands of dollars. They could be. They
Right.
very well could be.
Well, it's
We
like
should be happy. We should be happy that they're not fucking charging people, and they very well could be, and honestly probably should be for the work.
it's. I was trying to think of a way to like that would make sense to me, and it makes sense to me, but it may not make sense to everyone in chat. Like a way of equating it to something else in like a different industry. I used to be in a band, right? And we recorded an album with a producer that was like very decent, pretty decently known up in the industry or in the music genre that we were in, right? And the program that he used was a free open source program to record our music. He uses that free open source program. Does that mean that all of his recording should be free and open source? Does that mean we don't hold any of the copyrights because it was built on a platform of open source? No, right? That's not how that works, right? This is the same situation. VIA is built on top of a free open source platform, is utilizing those tools and making it into something different.
Yeah. I mean, think of it this way. You got free food sitting on the table, but it's all raw meat. It's a bunch of raw hamburger meat, bread, maybe even, we'll go even further, dough for buns, cheese slices, yada, yada, yada. Then a very talented chef walks in and he makes it. And a couple people go, "Hey, I want this order." Okay. Hey, I want this order. And they make a few gourmet level burgers out of this free stuff. And other people can go up and make their own stuff, and make their own burgers, but maybe theirs isn't as good. And those people are just giving away their burgers to people who ask for them. When you start going up and going, "I'm mad that they're not giving me my thing when I demanded it before." Well, it's like, well, he's the one making it. The stuff is there. The food is on the table. He's just making it better. Like, and you could even go as far, his time, are the spices, right? Here's the the big analogy, the burger analogy of VIA. He's putting his own spin on stuff and making it better. And you have every ability to do that. You just have to go put in the work for it. You can't, people shouldn't expect things. If you want a burger as quality as Wilbur makes at Burgers, then you have the ability to do so. You just have to do it. If you don't have the ability to do so, maybe fund something to do it. Maybe, there's a lot that this hobby is built on people going, "I want something better, so I'll do it myself."
Yeah.
It's like the Thanos, like, "Fine, I'll just fucking do it myself."
Dude, and VIA is available to any PCB added to QMK if people want that for free. Yeah, exactly. But some people complain about VIA source code not being open source. Yeah, exactly. They want to be able to make adjustments and do things and do special stuff, which they can't. But that wasn't the initial intention of the software. And I don't think there should be an expectation set that they need that the VIA team needs to make that available, right? If someone wants that same ability, they can make another program and do that with it. And yeah, I think it's just one of those things. There's some people in that comment thread that were getting upset and were like, it was funny. There's someone that said that it's clear this wasn't intended as an open, community friendly project. It's like, well, that's not how it started. It is community friendly, but it was not. It was initially just for Rama and Wilba. It was community friendly in the fact that they did open it up. They did allow other brands, other things that weren't Wilbatech or Rama boards, which is also Wilbatech PCBs, but they added other things. It's like, what do you expect them to do? Yes, it takes time to go through those requests. People have things that they do. People get busy, right? You PM Chewy and I in the middle of the day on a Thursday, we might not get back to you immediately. It might not be that day. It might be Saturday before we can get back to you. Because
especially if you get to us on Instagram, that's on me.
We got lives.
I'm really bad about responding to people on Instagram. Yeah, it just, it baffles me sometimes. People, we don't no one's expecting, no one goes up and goes, where, people will ask for the plate files. I've been asked, so we'll put it into keyboard perspective. I've been asked for the plate files for the Squid 60. I talked to Blind Assassin. I think until we're not going to release them until we've finished, we've finished the orders. I'm not going to release it before I'm done selling it. But once everything's paid for, we'll release it. That's nothing that we didn't have to do that. That was just something I was like, I don't see what the issue is. If people want to go and do this because they've spent money on it, it's not like they can reverse engineer. I mean, they could if they tried hard enough. But we don't have to release plate files. But what a lot of people are asking for is like, hey, I want the files to the keyboard you spent money and time. I spent money to have someone else who knows how to design boards, like actually, not just write them on a sheet of paper. But I'm like, hey, I want this, this, and this. I paid someone to do that. I'm not going to release that information to the wild, nor could I, based on my contract. I wouldn't release that information to the wild because other people will go, it should like that. I'm like, no, that's not how that works.
That's like, if you think about it, like how crazy would it be? You walk into like a Chevy dealership and you're like, hey, yeah, I need all the design specs and everything to make my own
3D
Corvette.
Chevy, Chevy Corvette.
Like, they'd be like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like,
sir, this is a Wendy's.
It's like, plate files are one thing. If you want, the Real Lippy says things plate files should be public unless you're offering all materials you're set. I think it's discretion. Everything is discretion, right? Because everything is based on the intentions of the design. And that's something that you can't be like, that can't be overstated when you're talking about a board, right? If you go back to Wilbur, right? The thermal, right? Is that thermal going to work with a polycarb plate? Probably not, right? Like the way that board is designed, not going to quite work too well in that. It might not last very long. I'm not sure. Maybe you have to use some really thick polycarb to make that work. It's not going to be the intention of the way that it was designed. And that goes for a lot of things. If Chewy doesn't want there to ever be a palm squid, that is perfectly up to him to decide whether or not that he wants to keep those files and not make that available.
Yeah. And honestly, and I'll be full disclosure. A lot of people go, hey, can I make this and like sell small? I'm like, you can, you just got to send me one. And I have no problems doing that because I'm like, you're about to potentially make money off of something that I spent money to design. I don't personally care. I'm not, if someone goes, hey, I made 5 plates and I want to sell these, I made these 5 or 10 plates. I want to sell these 5 or 10 plates. I'm like, your payment is just make me one because now I want one. Because usually it's cool shit. Like the FR4 plate I got that completely for free because the person was like, hey, I want to make this. And they also wanted to go, hey, I want you to test this to make sure it works. And this is because at the time, the Squid 60s haven't been delivered yet. And I was happy to do it. Most of the time, if you talk to people, it's probably going to happen. Should they all be openly public? Yeah, I mean, there are some things like if you look at like the iron, that's where it becomes difficult, right? Because it's like a lot of plates, it's a plate, right? It's top mount. It's whatever. It's not supposed to be groundbreaking or earth shattering, hobby changing. A lot of the TKLs that are top mounted, nothing's really earth shattering. A lot of them use the exact same mounting. But when you're putting in a lot of effort, like the iron, half that board was designed around the plate. Why should they release all of that hard work to other people when that's the whole point of the board is this plate?
Yeah. Well, it's my thought process around things like this has always been too, like if you are someone that you want to do that and you can reverse engineer that, you can pay someone to reverse engineer that plate and you can create it again. Good on you. You're the one that, like, sure, that's somewhat questionable. I think if that's not accepted, but no one can stop you. That's been the way things have been for a long time, right? Someone makes something, someone else sees it, I like it, let me reverse engineer it, and let's do it. You know, that you can do, right? That's you are putting in effort to do that. But when you start getting into things like that, like you said, of with the iron or again the thermal, like that's if they don't want to make that available for other people to see that and change it, because it is scary, right? We had a couple months ago, we had a big post that blew up on Reddit of a fake Jane.
Mm-hmm.
That someone was like, "Oh, I couldn't find one, so I made my own," and it was an exact Jane clone. The keyboard runners see that and they're like, they get a little scared. They're like, "Well, what the hell? Is there going to be a day where there's just going to be a bunch of fake irons, of fake Bowers
I mean,
running around?"
we literally found that website with the keycaps. I mean, it's different
Yeah.
with design, but it's like people just took it and ran with it because they probably won't see repercussions, because a lot of these people are not going to go after this company and go, "Hey, you're making all this money and I'm going to sue you." No, they're not going to do that. We do have issues with it. I want to talk. We'll save the artisan discussion another time. The Alf, they cloned those matrix boards a long time ago. I think it's just crazy to me. To wrap this back into VIA, we shouldn't we shouldn't we shouldn't be mad at Wilba for one celebrating a holiday. How dare you? Shouldn't be mad at Wilba. You are entitled. Here you go. You're entitled to be mad. You can be as upset as you want. Don't take it out on them. You're not entitled to take it out on anyone. You want to sit there and scream into your pillow how much you hate Wilba? Join me tonight, because I'm going to scream into my pillow about how much I hate Wilba. but no, you can be as mad as you want, but you do not have the right to go be angry about something that he's not doing. He's not stopping people. If you want it done, I'm upset with the hobby. Send hate to Wilba. There you go. If you want to be mad at someone, be mad at the hobby for relying too much on one thing, on one pillar,
Yeah.
because that's where the anger should be. We allowed the hobby to be too reliant on one thing.
Dude, we have to remember that behind all these giant hunks of metal and plastic, there's people who have lives, people who need breaks, people who make mistakes, people that have daily lives they have to go through. They have other things that they have to do that are not just keyboards. Give them some break, right? Like, give them a break.
And Lynn, actually give them a break. Understand when there's a holiday.
Yeah, when we roll from Thanksgiving into Christmas into New Year's, it is normal for some people to take some time off.
What's up, Mechs on deck?
Upas, how you doing?
Guys, shout out to Upas. A lot of people got the Instant 60. Thank you. Instant 60, great PCB. It's in VIA. Guess what? Welba didn't make the Instant 60. He may have had some design input. I don't know. I have no idea about the history of the Instant 60. Perfect example.
Yeah. But
so
yeah.
And I think, the last thing we'll touch on, and this is something that's it's pretty important to me. If you're making a board, or a PCB, you don't even have to make a board. You can just make a PCB, right? And you want it in VIA, I am willing to bet if you have, I can't promise this, but I'm willing to bet if you just go up to Wilba, not in person because quarantine, but if you just email Wilba and go, "Hey man, I've got this PCB. I'm going to get it done in Q&K. I'd like it to be in VIA or VIA. What can we do? What do I need to do? What are the steps? Do I need to send you one? What's the process?" There's a high probability that it'll get done. Don't promise that before. Also, do this before they ship.
Do it before you put in the interest check saying that you'll have VIA support.
You don't have to have it in VIA before the group buy, but it should absolutely be in VIA if you claim it's going to have VIA before the board ship out.
It's in Q. It's easy clap in VIA. Yeah.
There it is.
Exactly. But yeah, It's interesting. I just think people get so caught up in, oh my God, the community. And it's like, yeah, people love the community. People are huge supporters of the community. And the people behind VIA are insanely supportive of the community and have done so much for the community. And the people who are complaining about them not doing things for the community, I'm like, dude, you don't even like, are you thinking about this? Like, do you even understand what you're talking about? But it's like, no. I wish people would just kind of stop being so entitled about things and just expecting so much and expecting all this work for free, right? It's like they'll get to it when they can.
Shit's time consuming. You know, it's doing. I've lost many hours doing stuff related to Mechs on Deck. I've lost many hours related to group buys. I've lost many hours just talking to people. I do it because I enjoy it. I don't do it because I'm not. I don't charge people by the fucking minute. So I love when people. Yeah, I know this happens to you too. People are like, dude, I'm really sorry to waste your time. I'm like, I'm just fucking sitting here, man. I'm like, sometime my time is absolutely useless, but then there are other times where I'm like, yeah, I'm putting in a lot of effort. I'm putting in a lot of work. I'm doing stuff to make the community better. I mean, at its core, Mechs on Deck was created because we were like, there's not enough keyboard content, and we want to add to that.
Now there's a lot, but yeah.
Now there's a lot.
Oh, so man. It is crazy. Like I was thinking about I was talking with Quakeums last night, and he was like, man, there is so many. There are so many keyboard streamers now. He's like, it's great. I think we're at the point where at any time during the day, on any day of the week, almost, you can turn on Twitch, hit Makers and Crafting, find a keyboard stream.
It's almost 24. I love when we get pings with self-promotion. Like not pings, but people posting at self-promotion 7 a.m. Hey, I'm doing this. I'm like, dang, impressive. So, but yeah, so once again, guys, huge thank you for bearing with us from last week. I was very tired. Osiris even hit me up and he was like, dude, it felt so weird not streaming.
Dude, it feels great to be back. It does. It felt like a part of my week was missing without streaming all week last week.
I was okay with it. Especially Tuesday, because I had to deliver all these boards or put them in shipping. So on Tuesday, I remember saying, I was like, thank God. I would have been useless last week. I would have been just tired and burnt out and angry and pissy. But I'm happy this week. We're back at it. You know, sometimes you need that, right? Sometimes you just need, hey, let's refresh. You didn't really need it, but I absolutely did.
Yeah. XFees, dude, welcome. We love to hear that people just kind of were browsing Makers and Crafting, browsing Twitch, and they found our stream.
Obviously, it's because of how beautiful we are.
Dude, we are two
studs.
Burly boys.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, taken.
Heyo.
So tomorrow, we're doing something a little different. We're going to be changing up our Wednesday streams, not because we don't have anyone to talk to, but because it's something we're going to be doing some fun changes over the next couple months to kind of change things up. And tomorrow, mainly because we're kind of backed up on builds, and I've been wanting to build this for my wife. This was a gift I got from my wife for the holidays. Is this little macro pad by Little Keyboards. So tomorrow, instead of having a guest on, I was like, why don't, for those who don't know, my wife, she was my girlfriend and fiance at the time. The three of us used to live together. And I was like, why don't we just do a stream, just the three of us? We've never done that before. And it's been a minute since the three of us, like, we get to chat in person every now and then. We just have to limit that amount of time that we do. But I was like, let's show her how to solder. We're probably going to show her how to solder on something else, and I'll take care of the through hole. I don't want to, we're not going to throw her that far into the deep end quite yet. But I'll grab like an old PCB that's basically a diode factory at this point. And then we're going to have her build a macro pack. Should be a good time.
Should be fun. Should be a good time. We've talked about doing something like this where we kind of walk someone through how to build, how to solder. Because I think soldering is kind of that big step where people who are not into the community, they look at that and they're scared, right? They think it's this big scary thing. There's a lot of heat involved. You can burn yourself. You could damage the board, but it's really not that bad. And we're gonna walk through it. I'm sure we'll have some laughs, some goofs, some gaffs.
There'll be some fun. So that is tomorrow, 8 p.m. It'll be a weird stream because for those who also don't know, Osiris is the one that typically streams this, and I'm gonna have to be fucking in charge of streaming on this. So it's prepare for some f ups, that's for sure. So and then this Saturday, what are you building?
Oh, I am building a Matrix Noah. I would have like 3 boxes. I haven't even opened it yet. See if I.
Scuff is the spice of life.
This
Absolutely.
is. I'm building this board that is inside of this orange packing tape, from China because it's from Matrix. Oh, it's a Matrix Noah. I am very excited to build this guy. I've never built a Matrix board before, so I am really excited to build this. It's also with some switches that I've never used before. I actually have to go back and look because I don't remember because they are different. They are Rara V1 switches, which I've never heard of. So, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It'll be cool. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on Matrix boards because neither of us have built a Matrix board. We've typed on a few, but Jedi Types ask if that is a tactile switch because I don't even know.
Dude, I don't even know either because I haven't taken them out yet. I got this like last week.
It's funny. The person that sent this to us goes, "Hey, I got a Matrix Noah, so you should probably send it to Osiris." I was like, "Yep." So,
opening it now.
But that will be Saturday at this time, 2 p.m. It could change. We may be adjusting. We're probably going to start floating that Saturday midday stream a little bit. We talked about that before because honestly, sometimes we just get impatient. We want to build the boards earlier in the day. I mean, you know me, I would stream at fucking 9 a.m. if I could.
Yeah, you would just to knock it out. Chewy's like the wake up stream. He's like, you're like Tim when he goes live at like 8 a.m.
Now, wake up with Chewy. So yeah, that'll be a cool stream. That'll be a cool stream. So be sure to check, and then a quick shout out to our awesome sponsors, OmniType. We'll hear a lot more from them. I know to keep your eyes out for Botanical. I know he'll be making announcements about that for extras on there. But Project Keyboards, go to mechsondeck.project.link. GMK Stealth, it looks like it says over, but it looks like it is sold out at the moment, but they do a lot of pre-orders and stuff like that. So kind of keep your eye out for that. It looks like you can pre-order GMK Noir right now. So if you go to that store, you can pre-order a lot of this stuff. Because it looks like Dolch R5, GMK Noir, Alice PCB Rev 2s. I know those PCBs are a lot of times in short supply. Check out SM Keyboards. We're not sponsored by them by any means, but I just really love their stuff, and he's a really cool guy. Who's this Dixie Mech? Yeah, we'll adjust that before tomorrow. And then lastly, candykeys.com/mechs on deck. Check out GMK Shan Shui, Cat Crusader, Geek Arc PBT Lancelot. If you want to get some of these lavender linear switches, lots of cool switches on there. There's some cool Seal linear switch by Mentorly, so that'll be. I need to hit her up and see if I can get one.
They're heavy.
They're heavy.
78 grams.
That's why I like it. I was like, hell yeah. So, and then of course our awesome partners. So Upas, can you send me one? Just like invoice me for shipping. I just want one.
Just want one.
Just send me one.
Just one.
Or maybe like 3 so I can do a little roll. Zap Cables makes, in our opinion, the best cables in the business. We both use them. So be sure to check that. They've also got awesome desk mats. Type Beast, you can go to typebea.st for one of the best newsletters in the business and a great place to just keep on up to date what is happening in Smithrune. Go to smithrune.com. They've got 2 amazing keyboards, the Iron 165 and the Wired 180. Iron 180 in production. Extras will let you know when. And they've also got great merch on there. So be sure to check all that stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's about that time where we find who we are going to host. Are we going keyboards or are we going out of keyboards?
Let's go out of keyboards. We haven't gone out of keyboards in a minute.
Okay. Let's see. You know who's streaming? And they're not streaming keyboards, but they're a viewer.
Who?
It's your solder bro,
Ooh.
Delaphin.
Guys, those that don't know, we got a viewer, Delaphin. He's on a Be Right Back screen right now, so maybe we'll just stall for like 2 minutes. But literally, he's got the solder shrine. I've literally turned it in, hide my face, so it actually. He like always tuned. Are you soldering yet? He's like, hell yeah. He loves watching the solder. So I'm like, you know what? Shout out. So we'll stream him in just a moment. I'm glad to be done shipping. I'll be honest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll talk more in detail. The worst thing that happened is I was 80% done putting labels and I ran out of tape.
Ooh.
And I had to make that shameful drive and walk into a Walmart to go get tape, go get one roll of tape, sit there, start back, come back. And I was just like, my wife's like, are you all right? And I'm just like, I'm just in a pissy mood. I'm sitting there putting tape on.
I think that we could say that might be my fault because I think I actually have your old tape gun. I was like going through some things and I was like, well, I don't remember ever purchasing a tape gun. And the last person I lived with was Chewy. And I'm going to assume that it's yours. So
potentially. I mean, I actually used, it was easier to use the handheld one, like the ones that come in like the pre-made thing, but it was cool. It gave me a look into the lives of people that do a lot of shipping. So, but thank you guys. Let's go ahead and throw it over. He's still on to Be Right Back, but maybe we can surprise him and just blast his channel. Thank you guys very much for joining our stream. Remember, if you have complaints, go to Wilba.
Yeah, Wilba at Wilba.tech. For your complaints, send your hate there. That's from the man himself. So yeah.
Buy a switch tester.